Hey, it's Mike Brennan doing a special MI Tech TV here for the holiday season with Quentin Messer Jr., who is the CEO of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and he's coming to us on this broadcast from Dubai. Let me start off with asking you, what's up with Dubai? What's going on over there?
Happy holidays, first of all, Mike. Thanks for having me. We're in Dubai on an investment mission that's actually a follow-up to a February mission that Governor Whitmer led. When you think about innovation and transforming economy, remaining at the cutting edge of technology, and really having, I would say, a tripod, public, private, academic sector to really move the economy forward, I think Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the overall Emirates, the other five Emirates, are world class. And so we're here following up on that. We're also joined on this investment mission by the Arab American Chamber, and it's been an incredibly enlightening uh, week here in the UAE.
Okay, never been to that part of the world. Have been to the Middle East, but not to Dubai. So let's talk a little bit about. You just came out with a survey. I was sent the survey results, I think, about a week ago. Let's talk a little bit about that. Customer satisfaction. Why don't you run the numbers there, and we'll touch on these various things.
No, I really appreciate Mike. We at the MEDC believe in uh, having the best possible experience for customers and stakeholders. And we also believe in continuous self improvement. So we're gratified to be able to have people basically say, hey, look, they are generally satisfied or extremely comfortable with the experience they are having with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. That is a tribute to my colleague. And what does that mean? That means that the support services that we provide across a number of different verticals, whether it's small businesses, community revitalization, working with larger companies, we've continued to see an uptick in satisfaction with our speed of response, our ability to solve um, challenges in a creative way. We're seeing a growth and positive feedback from 2016, and we can get into the numbers further.
Yeah, why don't you delve into those numbers? Go ahead.
So we surveyed nearly 1,000 people who have interacted or worked with the MEDC in some way, and we had high customer service satisfaction scores and a strong likelihood to recommend the MEDC to other peers. 81% of all customers and partners with whom experienced MDC in the past year said they were somewhat or very satisfied with their experience. This compares favorably to an overall 55% satisfaction rate with the state of Michigan customer service, and this is found in the 2024 Qualtrics study. Likelihood to recommend the MEDC rivals benchmarks from the National Park Service or popular consumer brands like Chewy. And then the likelihood to recommend the MEDC outperforms benchmarks for the Federal Small Business Administration. So that's just some of the top line. 88% of all customers agree MEDC staff are communicative and supportive. 85% of all customers agree MEDC staff are responsive to feedback. So I am gratified and encouraged. We're not going to stop until we get 100% across the board, but having positive numbers in the 80s and in most categories in the high 80s is something about which I'm very proud and honored to work with the teammates I have.
But not all of your customers, shall we say, are happy. There's some concern by the legislature right now about how effective spending money and providing tax incentives are. I mentioned that before we started, I wanted to touch on that, get your response to what they're saying. Whatever you want to say, go ahead, take it away.
No, I think a couple of things. I think one, we work very closely with our partners in the legislature. Period. Full stop. Across the aisle, Democrat, Republican, Independent. It's our obligation. I mean, we are working in executing the state of Michigan's Make It in Michigan economic development strategy for friends and neighbors on both peninsula in all 83 counties across the 110 House districts and the 38 Senate districts. I think what gets lost in the conversation, however, is that MEDC sometimes gets reduced to just incentives. Incentives are a very small part of the work we do. We have Travel Michigan, which is responsible for the iconic Pure Michigan brand. We provide technical assistance to small communities across the state. We have a redevelopment readiness community um, program where we are really working with communities to prepare them to welcome the development, not only from the business side, but community revitalization. The State Historical Preservation Office sits within MEDC. The Michigan Arts and Cultural Council sits within MEDC. We have a finance team. We have an IT team. We have a legal team. We have compliance to make sure that we are being strong fiduciaries for our fellow taxpayers across the state of Michigan. So to reduce the conversation just to conversations about the incentives, and I would say SOAR is really the incentive that most people are talking about. We have two workhorse programs, the Michigan Business Development Program grant as well as the Community Revitalization Program grant that continue to receive bipartisan support. So, look, I think it's incumbent upon me. I have to do a better job of educating the public that MEDC and economic development isn't just about incentives. They are a part of the equation, but the larger part of the equation is the technical assistance, the convening, the working with the communities, preparing communities to take advantage of opportunities that are appropriate for them. It could simply be, not simply, but it could be community revitalization. It could be a business expansion of a long-standing local business. It could be attracting foreign direct investment from Dubai. We want to make sure that we're responsive to the unique needs across communities on both peninsulas.
And I know you help startups. I work real closely with a lot of the smart zones. I live in Ann Arbor, so I work with Ann Arbor Spark. And I must admit, a disclaimer, I'm actually developing a software as a service company in conjunction with Ann Arbor Spark. So that money that have come through them from you guys have been instrumental in us moving forward. Yeah, I mean, I know what you guys do, but I also know what some of the critics are saying, and again, I knew there was more to the story and I knew you'd want to touch on that. So,
I appreciate the opportunity. I was, one of the things that I think I've been encouraged by is under Governor Whitmer's leadership. Last year in 2024, we, for the first time, have a state uh, Chief Innovation Ecosystem Officer, my colleague Ben Marciano, who actually lives in Ann Arbor, two-time successful deep tech, hard tech entrepreneur, who under his leadership has the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification, the Office of Defense and Aerospace Innovation. He also has Small Business Services. We receive, one of the largest SSBCI 2.0 capital allocations, which is a tribute to the teamwork across the entrepreneurial ecosystem. You talked about smart zones that we have on both peninsulas, as well as Apex accelerators. We also work with the Small Business Development Center. So I would say what anchors all we do, the Make It in Michigan economic development strategy, focus on attracting, developing people, cultivating and revitalizing places, and competing for and winning projects, is that ability to reach uh, small and medium-sized businesses. Over the years, we've worked very closely with SBAM. Ann Arbor Spark is one of the larger partners in the regional economic development organizations across the state with whom we work. That doesn't mean that there isn't work to be done. We can always be improved. That's why we have and survey our our customers so we can get better, so we can learn where we need to improve. One of the reasons I'm here in Dubai is they have an incredibly uh, vibrant and powerful innovation ecosystem that's been studied across the world, as well as in Abu Dhabi, where we visited earlier this week. So I'm excited. I look forward to offline learning more about your SaaS company. But the biggest thing that I hope that the viewers of this program understand is the Michigan Economic Development Corporation wants to work with them as best as we possibly can. 'Cause we can't touch, over a million businesses on cross both peninsulas. But we understand that it is really the risk-taking entrepreneur that creates jobs. What we do is set the atmosphere by which people say, hey, look, I'm willing to take a risk and deploy my capital in Michigan where I could deploy it elsewhere around the globe. And it really is truly a globally competitive environment. And we want to make sure that Michigan remains at the forefront of innovation.
Before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about your plans for 2026. Talk about what you really want to emphasize. Now, you just addressed a lot of that in so far in the interview here, but specifics like AI. I mean, I think I get a release every day from somebody saying, "Hey, we got AI," and I go, "Well, congratulations. So does everybody else at this point." But other things like that. I mean, what do you really see being Michigan's sweet spot next year that you're going to really focus on?
Great question. I think the way I would answer it really is threefold. I think one, the first thing that's on my mind is laying the groundwork to make sure that whoever succeeds Governor Whitmer, we can accelerate his or her progression on the learning curve and understanding the rich diversity of the Michigan economy. And a lot of the groundwork that Governor Whitmer and bipartisan members of the legislature and business leaders have led across the world over the past couple of years. I think a big part of my success next year is going to be making sure that people understand the fact base. Whatever people decide to do, whether they want to rebrand the MEDC or they want a new leader, that's fine. But we must not allow people to go back and lose a lot of the positive momentum. That's one. Two, I think that a lot of the growth, especially in new job creation, is going to come from two sources. One, existing Michigan companies. So we need to make sure that the um, more jobs from Michigan package about the payroll eventually gets done. If it's not done this year, hopefully it's done next year because I think that type of flexible uh, uh, incentive tool is valuable. But we also really need to continue to press for with foreign direct investment. You, if we really look at where the federal industrial policy is, a lot of it tends to be foreign direct investment, reshoring or repatriating not only advanced manufacturing but R&D research. A lot, President Trump recently was here in the UAE. The record investment that you're seeing, the commitments from the Emirates, $1.4 trillion over the next 10 years. That is a tremendous amount of money. 144 billion dollars annually, and we see comparable commitments from our partners in Japan, South Korea. We see that in partners in Taiwan and as well as in continental Europe, as well as the UK and Ireland. But what needs to be understood is that the commitment is to come to the US. It doesn't say that where it comes to the US. And we in Michigan must be prepared not just to compete with the state to the south or some of our regional competition, but across the US, whether it's Utah, the Commonwealth of Virginia, North Carolina, Massachusetts. We have to realize this is a 49, 50 state competition. Our Canadian provinces are still very aggressive, as are the Mexican states. So we believe and we know, and we have the facts and the receipts to back it up. There's no better place to invest than Michigan in North America. And so we need to make sure we continue to take that place, that message globally. And also the final big picture thing, one, I said the transition, accelerating the incoming administration's movement up the learning curve to making sure that we continue to move forward FDI. And the final thing is, I think what you talked about, making sure that Michigan remains a place that draws entrepreneurs, that we support small and medium sized businesses, that we understand the differences in the needs of small and medium sized businesses, whether they're tech related, like your software as a service company, or some that may be more service oriented in retail or restaurants or bar, whatever it is. We have to streamline the permitting process. We have to remove red tape. We have to provide support to the right partners, whether it be small business development centers uh, or the smart zones or the apex accelerators if they're looking in the defense and aerospace situation. I think we have to view ourselves at MEDC. I'm a sports fanatic, and University of Michigan basketball is doing well as Michigan State. So we have to be the consummate point guard to make sure that we have an incredibly high assist and low turnover ratio. So I think those are my big picture goals for next year.
Any final thoughts before I let you get back to business there?
Well, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. I think what's critically important is the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, my colleagues are working very hard to continue to get better, continuing self improvement, and our relentless focus on the mission. What is the mission? Executing the state of Michigan's economic development strategy focused on attracting and developing people, cultivating and revitalizing places, and then competing for and winning projects. And we have to do that in a global context, anchored by support of small and medium-sized businesses, but aware of disruptive technologies that will transform the way we go about business, whether it be generative AI, or physical AI. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Quentin Messer Jr., CEO of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Thanks for being on the show today.
Happy holidays and thank you again.
You